What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. There's been a lot of controversy going on in the NBA the last week with the NBA in China. Rockets general manager Morey had tweeted that in support of the Hong Kong protesters against the Chinese government. He said, "We stand with the Hong Kong protesters to fight for freedom." And it was a real, quick and strong backlash from the Chinese government and officials as they quickly blackballed the Rockets organizations. They withdrew support for a lot of Rockets Chinese-related activities, and they pretty much pulled the money out, they money from the Rockets, man. Pulled all the Chinese money involved in the Rockets activities and team businesses. They pulled it, stopped it. They had a lot of charities, a lot of events going on while the Rockets were down there in China playing a couple of exhibition games last week against the Toronto Raptors. And they pretty much blackballed all that. Now, at the time, they had two other teams playing down there in Shanghai, China. There were the Los Angeles Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. And they, too, got a lot of the backlash, too, while they were down there. I believe, what I heard is a report came out. Adam Schefter from ESPN reported that the Nets players and the Lakers players met with Silver, and they talked to Adam Silver, the NBA's commissioner, and asked him why there are not any repercussions for Daryl Morey's tweets. They felt it should have been some kind of ramification for him tweeting that out. They said if it had been an NBA player, the NBA would have came down hard on that NBA player if he would have did the same thing Daryl Morey did. Daryl Morey, I guess Adam Silver told the players that, look, man, it's freedom of speech. I'm not going to fine him. I'm not going to suspend him. I'm not going to pressure the Rockets ownership to get rid of him. I'm not going to do anything. It's freedom of speech. So a lot of players were upset and mad about that. Now, the Lakers fly back to Los Angeles after the two exhibition games with the Brooklyn Nets, and the Nets travel back to Brooklyn. And LeBron James does an interview after practice with the Lakers. I think it was earlier today. And he says that GM Daryl Morey was either uneducated or misinformed about the situation. He says when he spoke and without thinking about others. He was thinking about himself. That's what LeBron James said. Now, LeBron James, as you know, has been a strong critic of Donald Trump, our president of the United States. And he's had a strong critic, and he's been a strong advocate of social issues, especially in pertains toward the black community. Trayvon Martin was brutally killed by George Zimmerman, an uncalled for murder. And he spoke, he wore a shirt in support of Trayvon Martin. And when he was in Cleveland, he wore a shirt during pregame warmups. He's worn other shirts, when black youths have been unjustly murdered by policemen. And he's come out in support of those, and he's wore, shirts in support of those people. Now, if you look at it, to me, it's hypocritical for LeBron to come out today and say that Daryl Morey was uneducated or misinformed. First of all, you need to do your homework, LeBron James. How you can say he was uneducated? He's very well educated. That's why he says, I'm supporting the Hong Kong protesters for their fight for freedom. They're fighting for freedom just like black Americans fought for their freedom back in the 60s. When Martin Luther King, marched in Alabama, Selma, Alabama, marched, all the way up to the state capitol in Washington. That's what that great leader, Martin Luther King, was fighting for. The same thing those protesters in Hong Kong are fighting for. He's fighting for freedom. And for you to sit up there and saying he's misinformed when Now you might not like him doing that because it affected your team and your organization while y'all was down there. You know, I know LeBron James got a lot of business ties in China, making a lot of money in China, so it probably affected that too. So you're looking at it from a monetary value, but you need to check your history, brother. You check your history. Those people fighting for the same thing we fought for back in the '60s. You need to check yourself, man. That's ridiculous for you to say this man was. First of all, you don't know. Did you pick up the phone and call Daryl Morey and ask him, say, hey, Daryl, why would you tweet? What was your thoughts behind tweeting? I'm staying with the Hong Kong protesters. What was your thought behind that? Why would you support them? Protesting their freedom. What was your thought? You didn't pick up the phone and ask that man anything about that. All you did was because you and your team was affected while y'all was down there in Shanghai. Y'all kind of got. This thing came out of left field, y'all got sideswiped with this situation. It wasn't even that bad though. Y'all didn't feel it. You didn't like y'all took the full wrath of this. The full wrath was toward the Houston Rockets and their organization. You got a little, you caught a little bit of the wrath too, but it was way less than what the Rockets went through. And for you to sit up there and say that the guy was misinformed, uneducated, like this dude is some nitwit just jumping on Twitter, just running off at the mouth and ain't really got any kind of background on what's really going on in Hong Kong. It seems to me that you the one is misinformed and you the one is uneducated about what Daryl Morey spoke on, what he tweeted on. He might be well informed on the situation. Obviously, he's been following the situation. You think he's just gonna tweet something about Hong Kong protests and he ain't been following the situation? You've been seeing what's been going on in Hong Kong airports. Those people getting taken down and taken out by the Chinese riot police. They shooting tear gas on these people and this and that. They shooting them with wooden bullets and stuff. Not my bad, with rubber bullets and stuff like that. And people going to jail and stuff like that. Have you been following the situation? The NBA, man, I hate to just, pull the curtains up, but it's a lot of hypocritical stuff going on in the NBA right now. I'm one of the biggest fans of the NBA and the Houston Rockets in particular. But I just don't like it when an NBA player, especially a guy that I would have thought, the last person I would have thought would have made an ill-informed comment like this would be LeBron James. But when you look at it and you see, like I say, the Lakers were down there, and he's speaking for his players. They're upset that it's costing them money. They probably got ties and business deals in China, and they're voicing their opinion behind closed doors. And LeBron James being the leader in the franchise, in the face of the franchise of the Los Angeles Lakers, he felt compelled to come out here with this in this interview after the Lakers practice and call Daryl Morey misinformed and uneducated. That is absolutely BS. BS. That is BS. That's freedom of the speech. LeBron James say, well, we all believe in freedom of speeches, but there's consequences behind it. Of course there's consequences behind that. Of course there's consequences behind it. When Martin Luther King spoke about the injustice of black people, it was consequences behind him. He spent time in jail. He got dogs sicked on him. They opened up the fire hydrants, sprayed water on them and our people. So there's always consequences about his action. It was consequences about Colin Kaepernick when he kneeled, when he was fighting for the justice of unarmed black men getting killed by policemen. He paid the price. He's not in the NFL no more. He's not playing the game that he loved, but he's still out here fighting for us. There's always consequences. It's gonna be consequences when you're on the front line. And when you fight for what you believe in and you speaking out against injustices, yeah, it's going to be consequences. So what you saying, LeBron, you saying it's consequences behind it because it's affecting you. You ain't thinking about the people over there in Hong Kong that are dealing with this straight on. You ain't thinking about them. You're thinking about yourself. You're thinking about your business ties that you got in China that could be affected by this, or that is already affected by this. You're thinking about how it's affected your teammates and their business situations going on in China. That's what you're thinking about. You're thinking about how it put you guys in a bad spot when y'all was down there in Shanghai when this situation unfolded, and y'all felt some of the wrath. You and the Brooklyn Nets. So y'all ran over there to Silver and basically tried to force Silver to reprimand or put some kind of punishment down on Daryl Morey. because you're looking out for your business interests. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, pick up the phone, LeBron James, call Daryl Morey, asking what he thought about it. What was his if you didn't understand why he would say people that are being persecuted, people that are rights are not being allowed to take fold, people that are fighting for free speech, fighting for their freedom. You know, don't want to be a part of no communist regime, want to be part of a democracy where the people will rise and the people in the power is with the people, not with the government. Pick up the phone and ask Daryl Morey why would he say Hong Kong protesters, I stand with them. Ask him that. And even if you didn't call him, you look at the tweet and you see what he said in the tweet. What was wrong with the tweet? He's saying I stand with the Hong Kong people in their protests to rise against the Chinese Communist government. What is you know, you don't agree with that, or you agree with it, but you know, you got to do that. You got to keep it behind closed doors. You got to, you know, sweep it up under the rug, like it's some kind of dirt or something. You don't know that nobody that don't want to be seen when you got the company coming over. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You know, you could have made another point if you was gonna go that route. You could have said, well, okay, Daryl Morey, I hear what you're saying. What are you doing? What are you doing behind the scenes or on the front lines to help the Hong Kong protesters? You know, that's good to put a tweet out and put light to this situation, but what are you doing physically, or what are you doing monetarily to support those Hong Kong protesters? You could have came that route and said, because I don't agree with you, you know, coming out publicly saying this, well, on a tweet. And then you got some people that might not feel how you feel, got to take some of the backlash. I felt you should have, you know, I feel you should, if you're going to stand on that, yeah, well, stand on it all the way, stand on it strong, and let's see some action behind your words. I could respect him if he'd have said that, but he didn't say that. He basically said, you know, he said that in a, well, let me put it to you this way. He said that in a way that, you know, he tried to come back and clarify LeBron James when he came out with that interview this morning or this afternoon, whenever it was after the Lakers practice. And he got a little backlash from a lot of people on Twitter, so he tried to come back and said he wasn't really denouncing the substance of it, but he was just denouncing the act of it. Why would you tweet that? You know, he basically saying you could have did some of that behind the scenes. And just like you saying he could have done that behind the scenes, you could have went behind the scenes. Instead of doing that interview, you know, and speaking for your teammates in the Brooklyn Nets, because y'all felt y'all was wronged out there, and y'all felt like y'all got caught up in a situation that y'all didn't have no control over, and y'all shouldn't have been put in that situation. So y'all ran to Adam Silver and cried on his shoulder about Daryl Morey. So you feel that you had to come and speak on that on behalf of for those players. Yeah, okay, then that's what you felt to do. That's what you felt to do, but you should have. You know, you should have clarified that. You know, like I said, so you basically came back and said the substance, you don't disagree with the substance. So if you don't disagree with the substance, then why would you then backtrack on the calling him ill-informed or uneducated? Because you just backtracked on what you just said earlier. You said he was either stick to your gun. You said he was misinformed or uneducated. Stick to it. Don't backtrack after you get a little pressure from the Twitter followers, people with the Twitter fingers coming back at you, and then you say, well, I'm not disagreeing with the substance. And now you're trying to backtrack. If you're not disagreeing with the substance and you're disagreeing with the method, okay, that's one thing. But sometimes you got to bring stuff out to the light. You know, you got to bring the stuff that's in the dark and bring it out to the light. You got to put stuff on Front Street. You got to put stuff in people's face to get a reaction. And sometimes that sparks change. That's what Colin Kaepernick did. He could have, said, well, I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna kneel before the game. I'm gonna try to do this behind the scenes, and I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna try to maybe do a couple of neighborhood gatherings in the inner cities and speak to a lot of the people, and we'll try to rally and do a lot of rallies and walking and protesting and stuff like that. Yeah, he could have did it like that, but he chose to do it on NFL game. put that platform out there and put it out there on Front Street. I'm gonna kneel so we can have a discussion, so we can talk about this, because this stuff been going on too long. That's what Colin Kaepernick decided to do, and that's what Morey decided to do. He tweeted that. You think he didn't know what he was doing? He tweeted that. Yeah, he tried to delete it, and he tried to come back and lighten up what he just said in the tweet. But the bottom line is, he tweeted that, and it got a reaction, and it sparked a discussion, and it put a spotlight on the situation in Hong Kong that needs to be dealt with, needs to be resolved. Those protesters down there in Hong Kong are fighting for something that they believe in, and just like when our people fought for something they believed in when they were getting misused down south. Their rights wasn't being protected. Their rights wasn't being enhanced. They had no rights. And by not being protected, you got to have rights to be protected. They had no rights. They couldn't. They had to drink out of separate water fountains. They had to use separate bathrooms. They had to sit on the back of buses. That's what we fought for back in the 60s. And this whole Hong Kong protesters are fighting a different type of fight, but it's a lot of similarities in the civil rights fight, because they're fighting against oppression just like we fought against oppression. They're fighting against a government that was trying to keep them down just like we were fighting against a government that was trying to keep us down. There's a lot of similarities. And LeBron James to call somebody uninformed and uneducated on a situation like that is absolutely BS. BS, LeBron. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, man. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm one of your biggest fans. I believe that you have done a lot of good things in the black community, but on this situation, you dead wrong, man. You dead wrong. You dead wrong. You dead wrong. You're dead wrong, man. In this situation, you're dead wrong, man. You should have just, kept these comments to yourself, man. But you made those comments, so stand on. Don't try to backtrack now that you're getting a little heat on. Now you're trying to backtrack and say you didn't disagree with the substance of what Daryl said. You disagreed with the method. Don't backtrack now. You said what you said, and you got to deal with it. But hopefully it'll be a learning experience for you. I know you know black history, you know the history of our people, but you just you let the situation that you had to deal with in Shanghai, your players on your team and the players from the Brooklyn Nets, y'all all talked about it, and y'all was upset and you felt that you had to speak on their behalf. It is what it is, but you're wrong in this situation, LeBron James. So just hopefully we all learn from this. And like I say, I see it. I say what that Daryl said, and then he deleted. I stand with the Hong Kong protesters. I stand with anybody that wants to be want their rights, that want equal rights, want the power to deliver to the people. Don't want to be subdued by government. I stand with all those people that stands for those type of rights, and I stand with the Hong Kong protesters, and hopefully they get what they deserve, and that's their freedom of speech, freedom of liberties, and freedom to make their decisions, and freedom to be in control of their own destinies. And that's what I believe. But as far as LeBron James goes, he's, like I said, he's done a lot of great things in the community. Like I said, he's been an activist in a lot of different situations when black people were mistreated. So I salute him on those issues. But this issue here, he's dead wrong. Doesn't take away from what he's done on the court. I got him as my, he's number 2 on my list as the all-time greatest NBA player to ever play this game behind Michael Jordan. I got him number 2 right ahead of Magic Johnson. On my top 3, Magic. I got Kareem 4, Magic 3, LeBron 2, and Michael Jordan 1. And if LeBron James can win another championship, championship or 2 with the Lakers, maybe I'll revisit the discussion between him and Michael Jordan as the greatest player of all time. But we'll have that discussion for another day if LeBron's able to win another championship or 2 before his career is done. But that's just my opinion on the situation. And if you watch this video, leave your comments in the comment section. What you think about the LeBron James, Daryl Morey situation? What you think about the situation in general between the NBA and China? And what's been going on the last week? Just give me your opinions in the comment sections. Follow me on Instagram, JBsports713. Follow me on Twitter, JBsports the Man. Subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.